Think back to the last time you stood in front of the person who hurt you. Not just a fleeting moment, but the kind of deep, lingering wounds that build over time. You looked into their eyes, hoping to find a genuine apology, a flicker of remorse, or even just a sign that they truly valued you. You told them about your pain, waited for them to change, convinced yourself that if you just tried harder, were more patient, things would get better. But each time, all you got was silence, excuses, or worse, blame thrown right back at you. You felt drained, invisible, as if you were the one at fault for simply wanting something better. But then one day, everything shifted. You stopped begging, you stopped trying to fix them, you stood tall, took a deep breath and said to yourself, "I deserve to live, not just to endure." And you walked away, not with the sorrow of someone defeated, but with the power of someone who finally found themselves again. And when you left, they reacted, not with love or regret, but with panic, with rage, the kind that comes from realizing they've lost control over you. They weren't heartbroken over losing you as a precious human being. They were terrified because you just cut off their lifeline, their ability to manipulate you. Hello, and welcome to this video, a journey for anyone who's tired of living in someone else's shadow. Today we're diving into a difficult but powerful question. What really happens in the mind of a narcissist when they realize you're truly done with them? Not just walking away for a little while, not just threatening to leave, but really done. No more chances, no more coming back. Have you ever wondered why your decision makes them lose control so quickly? Why they're willing to do anything, from pleading to threatening, just to pull you back in? And why, even after you've broken free, part of you still struggles to fully let go? This isn't just another video. This is a journey to understand the one who hurt you, to recognize the power you've always had, and most importantly, to reclaim the life you truly deserve. I'm not here to give you cliches or quick fixes, but I promise to walk with you every step of the way, from pain to awakening, from doubt to confidence. So, stay with me, because what you're about to hear could be the key to not just surviving, but rising. And if you're ready for this journey, hit that subscribe button right now so you don't miss a single step on the path back to yourself. Enough isn't just a word you blurt out in anger and forget the next day. It's not an empty threat or a cry for attention. Enough is a vow, a sacred moment when you stand in front of the mirror, eyes swollen but burning with determination, and whisper to yourself, "I deserve better than this. I deserve more than the scraps they threw into my life. I deserve more than the lies, the fake embraces, and the days I spent convincing myself that this was love." That's the moment you stop begging them to change and start demanding peace, respect, and life for yourself. But why is it so hard to reach that moment? Why does it feel like climbing a steep mountain, with every step slipping in the mud of fear and self-doubt? The answer lies within you, not because you're weak, but because you're astonishingly strong. You are compassionate to a fault. You forgive even when they don't deserve it. You loved them with a heart that was already torn, still willing to give more. You didn't just bond through love, you were tied by something far deeper, more dangerous. A trauma bond. Science has shown that your brain gets caught in a biochemical loop. Those rare, sweet moments, a hug, a compliment, release dopamine, the pleasure hormone. Meanwhile, the manipulation and pain trigger cortisol, the stress hormone. The result? You become addicted to them, like an alcoholic clutching a bottle of whiskey, even while knowing it's destroying them from the inside out. The road to enough is an internal war. Remember the nights you couldn't sleep, crying into your pillow, wondering, am I strong enough to walk away? Am I giving up on someone I could still fix? You lived through mornings where each breath felt like a reminder of failure. You had nights when your finger hovered over their number, knowing one text could drag you right back in. But then, one day, you stopped. You didn't text, you didn't call. You looked at yourself and realized, if I don't stop now, I'll lose myself completely. That moment, that is victory. Not because it was easy, but because it was almost impossible. To say enough, you had to silence that voice in your head whispering, maybe they'll change if I'm just a little more patient, or Maybe I'm just being too sensitive, too demanding. You had to face the terrifying fear that if you left, you'd be alone forever. You did it. You rose from your own ashes, brushed off the dust, and declared, "I choose me." That wasn't just a decision. It was a revolution, and you should be proud of that. Not everyone has the courage to get to this point. Millions are still trapped in that endless loop, still waiting for a miracle that will never come. But you broke the chains. You proved that you are not just a victim, you are a warrior. And this battle, even if it's only just beginning, already shows that you are 1,000 times stronger than they ever were. Now, turn the lens to the other side, to the narcissist, the one who's used to you always being there, always ready to forgive, always supplying their inflated ego. When you turn your back and slam the door they once believed would always stay open to serve them, what really happens inside that distorted, chaotic mind? Don't let the crocodile tears or desperate pleas fool you. They're not in pain because they lost you as a human being with true emotions, burning dreams, and irreplaceable worth. No, they're panicking because they've lost what they've been draining from you all this time. Endless attention, constant validation, and above all, absolute control. In the eyes of a narcissist, you're not an independent individual with the freedom to choose. You're fuel, a battery that keeps their ego machine running. And when the battery is removed, that machine begins to malfunction, shake, and threaten to collapse. Their first reaction is shock, a punch to the core of an ego built on the illusion that they are the center of the universe, invincible, untouchable. How dare they leave me? That's the question echoing in their head, not from a broken heart, but from the fury of someone who feels robbed of what they saw as an entitlement. Because in the narcissist's distorted world, you don't have the right to choose. You are their possession, a tool designed to meet their endless needs, from admiration, obedience, to serving the perfect image they've painted of themselves. When you say enough and prove it by cutting them off completely, they're pushed to a crossroads. They may choose to chase you, choose silence, or choose a third path which I'll reveal shortly. The way they react not only reveals their true nature, but also reflects the fragility they try so hard to hide. Scenario 1. They chase you like a desperate predator. Picture this. Your phone keeps buzzing with dozens of missed calls, your screen flooded with messages from "Sweet, I'm sorry I can't live without you," to blaming, "You're so selfish for doing this to me." They might suddenly appear at your doorstep, teary-eyed, voice trembling, holding a cheap bouquet or a small gift. All staged for a perfect performance. "I've realized my mistakes," they say, looking at you with eyes that at first seem sincere. In a moment of weakness, you almost believe them, almost think that this time they really want to change. But don't be fooled. This isn't love. This isn't remorse. And it's certainly not growth. It's a tactic, a carefully calculated move to drag you back into the game where they always hold the winning hand. They do this because they know you too well. They know you've weakened before to sweet words. They know you've desperately hoped they'd change if you just gave them one more chance. This is when they deploy love bombing, a strategy psychologists call the narcissist's ultimate weapon. They'll promise a radiant future, behave perfectly for a few days, weeks, even months, just long enough to make you doubt your decision, to make you think, maybe this time is truly different. But then what? Once you've been pulled back in, once your guard is lowered, their mask falls off. The sweetness vanishes, replaced by the familiar coldness, and the old knife, the knife of manipulation, criticism, and control, is plunged into your back again, deeper and more painful than before. I once heard of someone who was drawn back in with a 3-page handwritten letter full of promises to change. 2 months later, they were screamed at for not appreciating that effort. That's the essence of this scenario, a short play to restore their supply. Scenario 2. They go silent like a ghost retreating into the shadows. If you leave with unshakable determination, no explanation, no gap for them to slip through, no door left to knock on, they might disappear completely. No messages, no calls, no signs they ever existed in your life. You might see them posting happy photos on social media, laughing with new people, as if you were never part of their world. At first glance, you might think that's a sign they respect your decision or that they've let go graciously so you can be free. But don't be mistaken, this isn't maturity or kindness. Their silence comes from deep fear. They fear public rejection, fear that their fragile ego will take a crushing blow if they reach out and you still turn away. They'd rather retreat, protect the perfect image they've built in their mind, than risk facing failure in front of you, or worse, in front of others they want to impress. This is a defense strategy. They can't bear the thought that you, their main source of supply, are now the one who defeated them. I knew someone who faced this scenario after leaving. They didn't receive a single message for 3 months. Then one day, the narcissist suddenly sent a short message, wishing you happiness, with a photo of them and someone new. It wasn't a sincere wish, it was a final attempt to prove they're fine, still in control of the narrative, even though deep down, they're in chaos. Scenario 3. They attack for revenge. But not all narcissists choose to chase or stay silent. Some take the third path, turning their hurt into a weapon against you. When you leave and they realize they can't pull you back with sweetness or indifference, they shift to attack. They may spread false rumors about you to mutual friends, family, or even on social media, calling you selfish, a traitor, or worse, a crazy person who destroyed a perfect relationship. They may send venomous messages, "You think you're better than me, you'll never find anyone like me," or even direct threats meant to scare you and make you question your decision. This isn't because they hate you, it's because they can't stand the thought that you've won. In their mind, if they can't control you, they'll destroy you, or at least destroy your image in the eyes of others. This is how they regain a sense of power, turning you from the one who left into the one to blame. I've seen a case like this. A narcissist, after being cut off, posted a long social media post describing their ex as toxic and ungrateful, even though they were the one who caused so much pain. The result? Some people believed them, others saw the truth. But their goal was never the truth. It was to hurt you, to shake you, to make you come back to fix the mess they created. To understand these 3 scenarios more deeply, look at the concept of narcissistic supply, a term psychologists use to explain their core motivation. You were their main source, the one who provided admiration, attention, and the sense of power they needed to keep their ego inflated. When you cut off that supply, they're like an addict who lost their final dose, panicked, desperate, willing to do anything to get it back. A friend once told me their narcissist sent 50 messages in one night, starting with "I miss you," sweet-like scenario 1, shifting to "You don't deserve me," bitterness like scenario 3, and ending with "You'll regret this" as a threat. That's not love. That's desperation from someone losing everything, not knowing what to do when their lifeline disappears. But here's the critical truth you must engrave in your heart. Whether they chase you with fake love, go silent to protect their ego, or attack you for revenge, their reaction has nothing to do with you as a person with value and emotion. They don't see you, they only see what you gave: attention, submission, validation. When you walk away, they don't lose you, they lose power, they lose the fuel they need to survive. That's why they'll do anything, cry, beg, threaten, smear, to pull you back. But you have something they'll never have: choice. You chose to leave, and that is the greatest power they can never take away. Be honest with yourself. Even after you've said enough, after you've slammed the door shut, there are still moments when you feel an invisible pull, like a barbed wire wrapped around your heart, dragging you back. Going back to them feels like stepping into an old broken-down house. The roof is leaking, the walls are peeling, the musty smell hits you instantly, but you know every crack on the floor, every hidden corner where you once sat and cried. That familiarity is your greatest enemy, and it's stronger than you think. Why do you feel this way? Not because you're weak, but because our brains are wired to cling to what's familiar, even when it's painful. Science calls this the familiarity effect. Those rare, sweet moments with the narcissist, an unexpected hug, a compliment in the middle of a storm of criticism, trigger dopamine, the happiness hormone, making you forget months of torment. At the same time, the manipulation and abuse trigger cortisol, the stress hormone, creating an addictive cycle. You crave those short-lived highs to escape the endless lows. The result? You're trapped, not by love, but by biology. And then they show up, right at your weakest moment. Your phone lights up with a message. "I've changed. You mean everything to me. We can start over." Those words hit your heart like an arrow, cloud your judgment, and make you wonder, maybe this time will be different? Am I walking away from a chance to fix everything? But pause and look deeper. If they really changed, why do you still feel empty every time you go back? Why does the sweetness only last a few weeks before the mask falls off, revealing their true self, cold, cruel, and unapologetic? This is when you need to recognize their tactic. They're playing a game psychologists call gaslighting and love bombing. Gaslighting makes you doubt yourself. Maybe I was too harsh. Maybe they weren't as bad as I thought. Love bombing makes you infatuated. They shower you with attention, promises, sweet gestures, all to pull you back into their web. I once knew someone who went back after 3 months of no contact because the narcissist sent a 5-page handwritten letter saying they'd seen the light. 2 weeks later, they were screamed at for not being grateful for the effort. That's not change. That's manipulation. So how do you break this cycle? It's not easy, but it's possible, and you have the power to do it. Step 1. Acknowledge that pain is not love. It's a habit, a pattern you've been programmed to accept from the very first day they entered your life. Imagine you're a bird trapped in a cage. The door is open, but you're afraid to fly out because you don't know what the sky looks like. Pain is the cage, and you can walk away. Step 2. Ask yourself the bigger question, not for them, but for yourself. What do I deserve? A half-life where you beg for love, or a radiant future where you're valued for who you truly are? Write your answer down. I did this once. I wrote, "I deserve peace, honesty, and someone who doesn't treat me like a tool." Read it every day and you'll see it become your compass. Step 3. Take action. Not by replying to their messages, not by giving them one last chance, but by cutting them off completely. Block their number, delete their emails, burn every bridge that leads you back. Think of it like surgery, painful at first but necessary to save your life. And when you hesitate, remember, every time you go back, you're not just giving them power, you're stealing the chance for your own healing. Do it today. Take a piece of paper and write down 5 reasons why you left. It could be, they made me feel invisible. They never truly apologized. They drained my energy. They made me question my worth. They never changed. Stick it on your mirror, your fridge, anywhere you'll see it every day. Read it out loud and let those words remind you that you're not staying away because you can't go back, but because you won't. Because you're worth more than a never-ending cycle of pain and disappointment. When you don't waver, when you stand firm like a mountain in the middle of a storm, something miraculous happens. The narcissist loses their power. They can't manipulate someone who has seen through their true nature, someone who sees the lies, the games, and the emptiness behind those eyes. Every time you refuse to go back, you're not just protecting yourself, you're stripping them of the one thing they need most to survive: control. And that is the greatest, most bitter defeat they must face. Imagine them like a puppet, and you were the one holding the strings all along, even if you didn't realize it. Your attention, your forgiveness, even your pain, those were the strings keeping them upright. When you cut those strings, they collapse, stumble, unsure what to do. They depended on you more than you ever knew. Without you, they have to find a new source, a new person to manipulate, to drain, to fill the emptiness their ego constantly demands. But no one is like you. The compassion you gave, the strength you showed while enduring them, the patience you offered, those are rare things, and deep down, they know it. When you leave and don't return, they don't just lose a person, they lose a source of energy they can't easily replace. But what happens to you when you stand strong? You just survive, you are reborn. Think of yourself like a field after a wildfire. At first, everything is ashes, grey, lifeless, no sign of growth. But then little green shoots start pushing through the scorched soil. Tiny leaves reach toward the sunlight, and before long, the whole field awakens with new life, stronger, more resilient than ever before. You weren't weak for loving them, you're strong because you left. Every day you don't go back is a day you rebuild yourself, brick by brick, until you become the version of yourself you were always meant to be, not a victim, but a victor. How do you keep this strength alive? It takes discipline, commitment, and a little faith in yourself. First, block them on every platform, not just your phone, but social media, email, every path they could use to sneak their way back in. This isn't petty, it's a declaration that you're done, that they no longer have access to your life. I once heard of someone who left one small loophole, an Instagram account they forgot to block, and the narcissist used it to send old photos with messages like, "Remember this day." Don't give them that opportunity. Second, find someone you trust, someone who will listen without judgment and share your story. Not to complain, but to release. Every time you tell it, you reclaim a piece of the strength they once stole from you. I did this with a close friend. I sat down, told everything, and when I finished I felt lighter, like a weight had been lifted off my chest. Third, and most importantly, forgive yourself, not for loving them, because love is your nature, and that's beautiful. Forgive yourself for staying too long, for hoping when there was no hope, for putting their needs above your own. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. It means allowing yourself to heal. I used to blame myself every night. How could I be so stupid? But one day I looked in the mirror and said, I wasn't stupid. I loved. And I learned. And from that moment on, I began to recover. When you stand strong, you don't just defeat the narcissist, you defeat the fear within yourself. They may continue to live in their illusion, but you're living in truth. And that truth will lead you to a place they will never reach. Freedom. We've come a long way through the suffocating darkness of manipulation into the bright light of awareness and toward the unshakable power of freedom. You didn't just walk away from a narcissist. You liberated yourself from a prison you didn't even know you were in. You walked through fire, through thorns, through days when you thought you'd never rise again. But you did, and that is undeniable proof of one simple truth. You are stronger than them. Stronger than the pain, stronger than anything you ever believed about yourself. Your life is not meant to be endured. It's not meant to be spent curled up in a corner, begging for scraps of love from someone who doesn't even know what love is. Your life is meant to bloom, like a flower breaking through concrete, resilient and radiant, despite everything trying to hold it down. The narcissist was a lesson, a painful, cruel, but necessary chapter in the story of your life. They are not your destiny, not your end point, not the one who defines you. They were just a stop along the way. A challenge you've overcome to become who you are today, strong, aware, and ready for a future that's no longer imprisoned by lies. I used to think I'd never get out. I used to stand in front of the mirror, eyes sunken from sleepless nights, wondering if I had the strength to walk away, if I even deserved a life without pain. I used to hold my phone, fingers trembling over the call button, thinking going back would be easier than facing the loneliness. But I didn't call. I put the phone down, took a deep breath, and told myself, I am enough. I deserve better than this. Today, and standing here speaking to you, not as a victim, but as someone who found the light beyond the darkness, and I know that you will too. You are not alone on this journey. If you need support, this channel's community is here for you, a place to share, to heal, and to connect with others who truly understand what you've been through. If you want to go deeper, if you need someone to walk beside you through the hardest days, I offer one-on-one coaching. All the information is in the description below. But right now, I want you to do one thing. Not for me, but for yourself. Make a promise that you will not go back. Not today, not tomorrow, not ever. Because you deserve a life that's not imprisoned by false promises or crushed under psychological games. You deserve to breathe, to live, to love, not in fragments, but with your whole heart. Imagine a day when you wake up, sunlight pouring through the window, and you smile, not because of anyone else, but because of you. That day is not far away. It starts right now, with this moment, with your decision to stand tall and believe you are strong enough to keep going. I believe in you. I believe you'll walk through this darkness, not just to survive, but to shine. Are you ready? I know you are. Thank you for being here with me through this long journey. I'll see you in the next step of your life, a life no longer imprisoned, but filled with freedom and hope. Who are you? You are a survivor. You are a warrior. You are a winner. And never ever forget that.